dude, I mean, GR and RSJ and Amit Saigal and whatever he's done, it's crazy. It's beyond saying. मतलब मैं बोल नहीं सकता हूँ. We are doing this today because of him. घंटा इसको गुजर देना.
I'm still the track and my guitar volume can go up. Vishu Singh from Anui.bomb gave me a call and said, we're doing a show for, Amit's birthday, will you play? And I said, yeah, of course, man. I mean, Amit meant a lot to us. He was really instrumental in making the scene what it is today, and I was part of one of the earlier tributes with workshops, so for me it's a no-brainer, of course. I'm For me, I think doing a tribute to Amit and keeping his memory alive is essential. It's something that needs to happen because it's about the memory, it's about honoring his legacy, and he did so much for the scene. I think the scene should at least keep this going and remember him always.
Somebody had to do this, somebody had to remember Amit, and I'm glad that they came up with the idea and managed to pull it off, because I think it's really important that even the younger bands and the future bands and younger musicians in the country know where all of this is coming from.
And what the scene was before it became like this, where there are 3-4 gigs happening in the city on one day. There were no gigs. There used to be gigs in Pragati Maidan in Delhi at maybe once a month, and we used to all make a beeline for it, and invariably all gigs had something to do with it.
We never met Amit, but I remember when we had just broken into the scene. For me, RSJ was a big deal. It was the only way I would get access to a lot of the indie bands in the country, and I didn't know about the indie bands in the country then. So I was just a school kid who was entering junior college and had no idea that independent music was happening until I started reading RSJ, which I would pick up from Chembur station.
The song's about no fucking bullshit, and he was about no fucking bullshit, so that's what the song's about. Let's go.
And and I think it's important to keep Amit's memory alive, particularly because we're now seeing a generation of new musicians and artists and electronic artists all break into a scene. It's important to know where we came from. It's important to know that there was a guy who was printing magazines out of like Allahabad, and that's how things started taking place. You know, that is important. Those roots are important. So it's good that we are keeping the memory alive.
You're like a fruit machine, but I'll be alright.
But I remember Amit was the only one who wanted to listen to the whole song that the band had sent in, wanted to go through each and every submission that came in, no matter what quality or what format, whether it adhered to the selection criteria. So even while interacting with him, you could always see that he had that vision of wanting to get what we are doing and push it out for the masses.
We don't really know what's wrong, but then again, who gives a fuck? Jai Bobby Kelly and Paisa do. All of us are just some fucks, that's why the whole world laughs at us. Jai Bobby Kelly and Paisa do. Jai Bobby, Jai Bobby, Jai Bobby Kelly and Paisa do. Jai Bobby, Jai Bobby, Jai Bobby Kelly and Paisa do.
So it's great that this entire week, or largely 3 days of the whole week, we're seeing events happening across the country, gigs paying tribute to Amit Saigal. It's great to actually see what could have been a one-day festival as such reach out to different cities. And in Amit's 2 words, I think it's fully fantastic.
I mean, you need passion and love for, to make it happen.
And he had that. Like, it was pretty evident that by the way he would hold whatever shows that he's done, you could see the passion that he had for getting that event set up together.
And of course, GIR really sort of became the pilgrimage for like rock and metal bands. I mean, not just for the bands, for the audience as well, because there was no other festival that was really doing rock and metal. I mean, there was the Soul Festival, and probably still is, considering there's nothing else that's stepped in and taken that forward, unfortunately.
It's indeed an honor to play in memory of a man who created so much for us. So let's keep moving on. This one's called Solo.
Of our long-standing association with Amit and whatever he did, it made a lot of sense for us to do this tribute, and that's really important.
We really wanted to do this because as a kid growing up in the scene, back in the day, it was Amit Saigal who started huge things. Like, we weren't even really in a position to understand what's happening, and only a few years later is when we started Koshish, and we formed a band, is when I realized how important the contribution was towards the scene. It was amazing. So when we came to know about this, we just said yes, let's do this. That's how it happened. I only remember when I used to go for gigs back in the day. I used to usually be alone, all on myself, completely absorbing, the whole atmosphere by myself. There's no influence or anybody telling me what is what and this is that. So I see Amit Saigal, completely. He was quite high, and was the guy who was in control, and I was like, who's this guy? And you know, friend of mine who just I got acquainted with at the time. You don't know him. He's Amit Saigal, and he's the guy who's making the scene happen.
Also, he used to wear a hat. So I used to always wonder who wears a hat at a gig.
No,
but
he's
then
just
you
a cool
realize
guy,
that
man.
he is the guy with the hat.
We were playing with Bhayanak Moth, Scribe, and Benny Arish from Norway. I think there was one more band. I can't recollect. In Toronto. Just wanted to go and thank him, but you know, being the junior band back then, like, you know, I wasn't really hesitant to go and say that. I remember, like, you know, he offering us chips and banana, like, I could say, like, thank you for giving us this chance.
Now I'm
That's it.
Please enjoy your life.
Rishu, everyone! Because of him and all the guys along with him, we are here tonight. Let's go. What makes us human is our talent. We are fought until the ultimate depths of desperation. It's a double perfection. I can see prophecy, humanity's only evil. What we give is
Second time we are playing Amit Saigal tribute, and I'm sure we'll get to be a part of this whenever it happens, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, it's the only way we can thank someone like Amit, who's done so much for the Indian rock and metal scene in India. So it's one of the best initiatives, and I think I more positive vibes and power from our end, more support from our end. Keep this happening. We'll support from our end.
Before you're working it out, give me a taste of your honey. I wanna hold you high. You can be my sugar daddy tonight.
We'd like to dedicate to him and Amit together. That's Joshua, and this one is for you, Colin. It's your Cowboys from heck. Are you ready?
What we are trying to do is, it's a GR cassette, man. It's a GR cassette. It's not a metal gig. It's not a this gig. It's not a that gig. It's everything that is Indian rock.
Am I